August 24th, 1983. This is Joe Todd and Judy Michener, an interview with Harrison Hunter. Mr. Hunter, where were you born?
I was born in 5 miles east of Cushing, just riding on a little creek called Uchee Creek. It goes into the Cimarron River.
When's your birthday?
May the 2nd, 1919.
1990. Who was your father?
My father was John Thompson, but my grandparents were Henry Hunter and Alice Hunter, but they didn't have no children, so it would be the end of the Hunter name, so they gave me the Hunter name, Harrison Hunter, but my dad was John Thompson. So, and he was a Meskwaki, that's a part of our tribe, that's up north in Tama, Iowa. And down here we are called Ataki, that's a gray earth people. No, yellow earth people. And Meskwaki is a red earth people up north, Tama.
What's the history of the Yellow Earth people? What are they called?
Well, that's our what they are. I don't know what the history way back there, but that's our name. Those up north are called red earth people, Squaw. And these down here are yellow earth people. So that's so in English language they call them Sauk, S-A-C, and Fox, but it's supposed to be S-A-U-K-E-E, Sauk. That's kind of the definition I guess.
When did they bring the Yellow Earth people down to Oklahoma?
Oh, that was in the 1800s. I don't know what year. They originally was way up in Wisconsin, way back in the 1800s. In Wisconsin and Minneapolis and Illinois, and when they moved from Illinois out to the Rock River, I think they're called Rock Island, Illinois, right there was our last big village there. So when they moved them to Kansas, well, that's where they brought them from, to Kansas. And from Kansas, they brought them from Kansas to here in Oklahoma. So part of the tribe, they stayed in Kansas. And that's the tribe, half of the tribe, they was going back to the reservation at Rock Island, and they didn't quite get there. So they're the ones that's in Iowa. Quaker people took care of them up there, and they're finally established a reservation there.
You say you were born 5 miles from Cushing?
5 miles east of Cushing.
Were you born in the village there?
No, it's a regular house. It's on the allotment there.
Okay. When did they allot the Indian lands? What kind of work your father did?
Well, he was just a farmer. My grandfather.
And what was your grandfather's name?
Henry Hunter.
Henry Hunter.
But when he was in Kansas, well, they gave him the name of Henry Kimaha in Kansas. So when we come down here, well, a lot of our people had Indian names when they came to Oklahoma, but if you lived by the farmer that name's Jones, well, they give you the last name of Jones. And if your name was, say, Lewis, or had a farmer or governor or whatever, they gave you that name, just, through the Indian office.
And his name was Kimaha?
Kimaha, from while he was in Kansas, Henry Kimaha.
Now, is that name passed down to the family?
It should have, but when they got in Oklahoma, they just gave them the name of Hunter. So that's we have lots of people here in the tribe. They would be full brothers, but if he happened to have an allotment way over here, a signed allotment over here by Mr. Smith. Well, his name would be Smith, and his brother would be say you may might say Hunter. So they'd have two different names, but they'd be still full brothers. So that's we got lots of different names.
I was just going to ask you, who else in your family was named Harrison Hunter before you?
Oh, it was one of my grandfather's brother.
The reason I ask is
Yeah.
because we were microfilming some of the Sauk and Fox papers, and I was helping to do some document preparation, and we ran across the airship cases and the letters and documentation on Harrison Hunter, Henry Hunter, you know, and I knew they had to be related to you some way, and I always meant to ask you, but you were never there when I went to ask you about that. So to
Well,
let you know that there is information up
Yeah.
there in the archives on your family.
Well, this is my grandfather's brother. It's like I said, my father's name was John Thompson, and the Hunters, there wouldn't been no more Hunters, so they gave me the name of Hunter.
So the name would be
So it'd
carried
be
on.
carried on. And now they ain't no Thompsons, so there won't be no more Thompsons in Iowa.
Oh,
I've
I
got
see.
that. See, yeah.
How
So,
how many children were there in your, how many brothers and sisters do you have, Harrison?
How many? Four brothers. I said four brothers and a sister on my mother's side, and I've got two sisters on my father's side. Half sisters.
I see. So there wasn't any danger, at least an immediate danger, of the name dying out of Thompson? You said Thomas Thompson?
Thompsons. They're done gone.
But they have since passed away.
Yeah.
But at the
And
time you were
I'm
given
the
that,
only
you're
Hunter left. But I've got half brothers on my mother's side. That's Shannon, Conklin, and Franklin. So I'm
what was your birth year now? What year were you born?
1919.
Did any of your family, your father or your grandfather, serve in World War I?
No, I don't think so.
I just wondered if perhaps they had. That's very interesting because there were a large contingent, a large company of Oklahoma Indian people, Indian men that served in World War I, and I wondered if maybe some of your family might have.
No. I served in World War II.
Yes, that's part of what we're going to get to and ask you about.
What are your earliest memories of Cushing?
My memory, only thing I can remember, we used to go to town in a wagon. That's way back there. When I was a little boy. Go with my grandpa and grandma to town in the wagon. And they had a wagon yard, you know, in the back of Montgomery Ward at that time. So that's where we hitched our wagons. And a lot of times I wouldn't go to town. I was small. And I'd stay with the wagon. We had an old shepherd dog that went with us everywhere, and he stayed under the wagon, and that's where I stayed under the wagon with him. Hey, well, I was just a little fella. And
That old dog have a name?
no, it had an Indian name, and that's the only thing I know. And my grandfather couldn't talk very good English, but my grandmother could.
What did the wagon yard consist of?
Oh, they had lots of farmers came to town with, you know. They had an old barn there, and if you wanted to feed your team, well, you didn't hook them, and they had a man to take care of them for you, feed them for you, and water them for you, or you could just have your own feed in the wagon, unhitch them, and feed them yourself.
How many times a week would you go to town?
We didn't go, but maybe once or twice a week.
people used to spend the night in the wagon yard, in the wagons under the...
Yeah, we used to go visiting, and way down south, well, I'd say way down south, just at Stroud, where my grandmother's sister lived, and we'd go down. Seemed like it took all day to get down there in a wagon, but I know it didn't. But anyway, we used to stay there 2 or 3 days and visit. Well, they'd, well, you might say dry pumpkin together, or dry corn, or dried apple, or whenever the season come, well, they'd take turns in helping each other gather stuff like that.
As a child, what kind of chores you do in the farm?
Oh, I had to go after cows, cut wood for stove, milk cows, plow the fields when I was, about 9, 10 years old.
How much could you plow in a day? How many acres?
Oh, it wasn't too much. Just when I get back from school, well, I'd go down and go a few rounds with a plow, and eventually I'd get, I don't know how many days it took me to plow a field, but I finally get the plow. We had a lot of chickens, cows.
Did your grandparents tell you any stories about the Sauk and Fox?
Oh, we had lots of fables, you might say.
Yeah. Do you remember any of them?
Not too good.
Harrison, you used to talk about, one time when we were over at Juanita's, you talked about how your parents and grandparents raised you all when you were children, how strict they were about certain things,
Oh,
you
yes,
know. And could you tell me some more about that? Could you tell me that?
Well, I kind of sort of got in on the old way of discipline, and that was that make you if you didn't do a certain thing right, or if they punished you, well, they made you go without eating. They call it fasting. So they, in the morning, well, we maybe did something the day before. Well, they say, well, you, in order to punish you, they get coals from a fire and paint you with a black coal paint and say, you go on out in the woods and meditate and think about it. And they never whipped us. It's one thing they never did do. So I got in on some of that, and I had a cousin that was kind of ornery little feller. So they'd send us down in the woods, and you can't drink. You're not supposed to drink water, or you're not supposed to eat, and I don't know what. But my cousin, he'd maybe get in a bird's nest and get the eggs, and he'd go up, sneak back to the house and get some lard, and they'd go down and cook eggs, bird eggs, and then maybe kill a squirrel or something, and he'd cook that and eat it. And we just sat and watched because we was afraid. And I don't know how our old people knew, but when we got back to the house and they would point at him and say, you didn't mind. You didn't do like you were supposed to. So that we'd have to go without food another day again.
How long would those periods of fasting?
Well, it'd be just a day. We were
just a little kid.
Yeah, but as we grow older, well, then it was a full day. But that in the evenings, when we were small, well, in the evenings, well, we would have something to eat. We'd go around the pasture all day long and lay around. But I had a cousin, he was no good. So he would either kill frogs or something, and he'd lay down on the creek and drink water, and we wouldn't. I don't know whether somebody was come watching us or what, but they would know. They would know if you drank water or if you ate. So
they always knew when he did it, huh?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So that was a way of their disciplining the young people. So I got in on that part there. Nowadays we don't do that. We just
give a little spanking.
Yeah. They used to tell us stories. all of the year. It's storytelling time. And we'd have walnuts from, gather wagon load of walnuts, and they'd take them down to the wood pile, and even Grandma would go out there and crack them and put them in a bucket. And nighttime, well, in front of the fireplace where she'd sit out and we was peeing, and then she would tell us stories.
Uh-huh. What sort of stories would she tell you, Harrison?
Well, it'd be from time beginning, story of a man. I guess he was some kind of sort of God, you might say.
Uh-huh.
And he was next to God, but he was sent here on earth. That's before man was here. So he was sent here. And he had a name. And Grandma used to say that he could understand all the birds, all the animals, everything he could understand. And he didn't have no kinfolks. He was there by himself. So that one day he wanted a brother, so he seen a family of wolves across the river. Mother and father, two little wolves was going down on that side of the river. He was going down this way. So he was needing a brother to talk to. He was getting long, so he said he's going to get one of them little wolves. So his dad and mother told him, hurry up now, don't look at that man across there. He's real good. He's going to do something to you. And as you know, kids, they get curious, and they want to, you tell them don't do that, well, they're going to want to find out, So he went down on the creek, and then he kept lagging back, and finally they went around the bend, and he told me, hey, come here. The little wolf come across the creek. He said, I want a brother. I'd like for you to be my brother. So the little one said, yeah. So he got him by the front feet and found him on the back hind leg and stepped on him. He raised him up and says, now you're going to be my brother. So he became a human. So he had a brother. So it is just from there it's a story, a long story. It goes all winter long. And how come this and how come this and such and such.
And she would tell you stories like that.
During the winter.
Uh-huh.
And in order for us to have them tell them stories, well, she needed tobacco. And we went to school, day school. We had to walk about 2 miles. Well, and between that farm, they had a little farm store down there, and my grandma had credit there, so when we'd come back, we'd say, well, my grandma wants to pluck a tobacco, chew tobacco. We'd come by and they'd give it to us and write our name down, and we'd come on home and, well, Grandma, we want to hear that, finish that story tonight, and we'd give her that tobacco. And that's the only way she would tell stories. And she had a way of getting her tobacco. So that's So nowadays, well, sometimes I always forget some of these stories from my grandchildren. They always say, hey, Grandpa, how come this and how come that? And I can't hardly remember what she used to say. So,
What was the name of the school that you went to? Your day school?
First school I went to was Antioch.
Antioch. Right.
And first day of school I went to, I didn't know my name. My mother wrote my name on a piece of paper and they stuck it in my pocket, and she said, when you get there, told me in India, when you get there now, and when that lady asks you your name, you give her this paper. Well, I had a cousin. They lived about halfway, so I guess my mother told my cousin, said, when you get over there, you tell the teacher's name. So when we got there, we played around, Finally, it rung a bell, and we all run in, and I said, teacher says, what's your name? And I looked at my cousin. He told me, she wants to know your name. She told me, yeah. Asked me name. So I don't know what my name means. I said, I got to turn my pocket, and I lost my name. So I told him, say, I lost that So he told her, well, he lost his name. She said, well, tell him to go home and get it and come back. Well, so he told me to go on home. Well, I thought that was it. So I just went on home. And that took me all afternoon to walk all the way home. So when I got home, my mother asked me, well, how did it go? Well, they sent me home. So that night, while my cousin come down and told her that, well, she wanted my name, so he lost his name. That was my first day of school. So I couldn't talk a word of English first day.
How long did it take you to learn to speak English, Harrison?
Not too long. Yeah, it's the first year.
Just probably picked it up in a very short amount of time. That's very interesting. Huh, I didn't know that. Hey.
Now we had a neighbor, a farmer that lived on the hill, and he had 2 children that went to school. And they had an old white mule that they rode. So they'd come by the house, and we had by the road, they had a steep ditch, and they'd just drive that old mule right by the ditch there, and I'd crawl in between them, and we went to school. And I don't know, they'd turn that old mule loose, and he would go home. And in the evening, while their parents would have that old mule tied up over there again, and we'd lead it in a ditch, and we'd all jump on it and come home. So that was
your transportation.
Yeah.
Hey. That's terrific. How long did you go to that school?
We consolidated when we was about 4th. When I got about 4th or 5th grade, we consolidated another school. And then after that, we rode the bus. And that's about 1928, 29.
Where else did you go to school after that?
I went to Harmony. That was a consolidated school.
Okay. You graduated from there?
I graduated from there, and then I went to high school. One day.
One day?
I went through the high school, and they was having a county fair at Stillwater, and they said, all you kids that wants to go to the fair, get in the bus. So I went on through high school and into the bus and went to the fair, and I come home the next day. I went to work.
Where'd you go to work?
I went down to Show Me the Indian Agency.
Oh,
that's when the CCC was.
So you worked in the CCC program.
So, I drove a truck when I was 14 years old.
That's terrific. Now, see there, we found out something we didn't know.
So you were a truck driver from the CCC?
Yeah, and I was 14 years old, and I didn't have to take no test. They just told me to go uptown and get a license. I just went to the lot. Where you get your license? I said, I need a driver license. They said, well, 50 cents. And I threw 50 cents, and they wrote me, gave me a license, no test, no nothing. That's the first time they ever had a license, and I've had one ever since.
Son of a gun.
That's back in 1938, I think. Yeah, 37, 38.
How long were you in the CCC program?
I was about 2 years, and I played ball when I was in grade school, and I played for the agency, and finally I just quit there. I went to Ada down at Haliburton, and played semi-pro industrial baseball. So I played for Haliburton, Orwell Seaminers. Then I went to Liberal, Kansas, and played for an oil company there.
You must have been a good ball player, Harrison.
Well, I was pretty good. Yeah, so then I went to the Army. Just about there.
Aha, okay. You're the Army person. You ask him Army questions.
When you joined the Army, what year?
1941. That was before, well, we was hearing about this, Hitler about that time.
This before or after Pearl Harbor?
No, before. Way before, yeah.
What unit did you join? What unit did you join?
Well, I joined, I didn't join. I volunteered, and when I got in the Army, well, the 32nd Division, it's Michigan and Wisconsin State National Guards, and there was needing, I guess, men, so I was...
Where'd you go to boot camp?
I went to Camp Roberts, California.
What was boot camp like in 41?
kind of rough. Yeah, it's real. Well, for me, it was kind of tough. And yet it wasn't too tough at all.
Why was it tough for you, Harrison? I mean,
Well,
you say for me it was kind of
Yeah.
tough, but why? Of course, I don't know anything about boot
No.
camp, you know.
well, you had to get up early in the morning, and you had to do calisthenics and all that. You know.
How was Army food compared to what you were used to?
I thought it was good. I did. Yeah.
Good, he liked Army chow. That's
I weighed 160 pounds then.
uh-huh.
So in 1942, well, I weighed 215. And I just had I didn't have no neck, just, and I wasn't fat, it just,
215
and I was
pounds.
6'1" at that time.
How tall are you now?
I got wounded in the Army, I got 3 ribs out, and they had to pull one,
The cartilage?
yeah, some of them
discs.
discs out, so I'm exactly 5'11". They had to take maybe 1 or 2 down. I don't know.
What made that much difference in your height?
What'd you do in the Army?
I was dumb, really. I had lots of buddies that went to school in Shalako, and they joined the 40-50. They was part of the 40-50 piece in Oklahoma. So they went to the Army, and I had some of the cousins that so they went. So I told my grandma, I said, I'm going to go. I'm about to go. And I said, well, if you want to go, then go on ahead. I hadn't had war, hadn't been there.
Uh-huh.
So I went to Stillwater. I'd like to join. I'd like to join my buddies up here, but they sent me down to Fort Sill, and I said, well, you go to Camp Roberts. And I was wanting to go to 45th, but I don't know what. Well, they asked me what I wanted, and I said infantry, and I don't know a thing about infantry. That's the worst thing you can get into. I should have took artillery. I had my pick of what I wanted. I should have said artillery or something else. Instead, I said infantry, and that's where I went.
Was the infantry?
Yeah.
So
they
you were
sent me
a foot
Camp-
soldier?
Yeah.
Where'd you go to Europe?
No, Southwest Pacific.
Where'd you,
Well, in 1942, that's when Pearl Harbor was at 42.
41, December.
Yeah, well, that was before that I joined.
Yeah.
Well, that Pearl Harbor come along, and we was from Camp Roberts at that time, so, and the 32nd Division was on maneuvers down in Louisiana, and we done finished boot camp. He said, well, I said, you want to go to infantry? Yeah. So I said, well, there's a outfit down in Louisiana that's all ready to go. Are you ready? I said, I'm ready. And I didn't know. So that's where I went to.
Louisiana?
Louisiana.
Louisiana
there.
maneuvers.
Yeah, they was down there on maneuvers. My gosh.
The bugs and the
Yeah,
alligators
down
and
through the-
snakes. And
Tell us about
Swamp.
Louisiana maneuvers.
My gosh. Well, it's kind of rough. I was in Camp Roberts, mostly in desert and hill country, and that's where we was training for. But when they sent me down there, then we had the kind of sort you might call jungle, down in the swamps and all that. Kind of stuff.
was that experience helpful
Oh,
to
yeah.
you when you got
Oh,
over?
Yeah, well, shortly after I got down there, while they was getting ready to go to war was declared in,
Uh-huh.
so they was going to go to England. So they said, well, you go to Massachusetts. So we all board train, got in Massachusetts, and they said, well, we stayed there about 3 weeks, and said, well, they need you back the other way. So I said, where did we go from there? Washington, I believe. Washington State. We went there, and it seemed to me like all during that time I was in the United States, I was on a train going someplace and going through, training, and then we'd board the train, then go again, and finally, I said, well, so go down to Frisco. We went down, Well, in the meantime, the Japanese took Pearl Harbor, and then they was going down the coast, down through Malay and all down, and they got down towards. They done took Philippines, so I said, well, I said this 32nd Division can go over there and help them out. So we went down to Frisco and went down to Cow Palace. Slept in them old cow stalls, and during the night, way during the night, they give us all the new equipment and stuff.
Uh-huh.
We got in the trucks and we went down to the docks. They said, well, we was kept us all night, and then I was just groggy and just worn down. And next morning I woke up and we out in the bay. We'd been ordered down, done boarded ship. And then it was too late then, I couldn't back out anymore. We went way back down south. Well, in the meantime, they done took Philippines and they went on down through Malaya and down Korea, down to Singapore. Then they started back this way to Java and New Guinea.
Mm-hmm.
So we got down in there and they had a big Core 2 battle over there. And that's when the big Core 2 battle. And yeah, I imagine they had a 14 ship transport, 14 transport, whole division, and then some other support troops. He was going down in there, and all at once they sounded alarms. Everybody down below, and after a while they said we're going to go down south. So they're having a big battle, and I guess that was the Core 2. But we went straight south, but you could see it looked like just lightning way back just in the horizon. All you could see was like lightning. But they said that was a big battle. You couldn't hear nothing. But I guess it is. It just looked like it's coming daylight tonight. We went around New Zealand and landed at South Australia.
Were you seasick, Harrison?
I was for a few days.
But you got used to it.
I got used to it.
Hey.
What was Australia like?
Beautiful. Most beautiful country in the world.
Go to Sydney?
No, we just come through Sydney, went to Brisbane. From Adelaide, South Australia, we went up to Brisbane. And we stayed up for about a month or two. And then from Brisbane, well, we boarded a train and we boarded transport planes and went to Townsville, Australia. And said we're gonna train there for a little while. And there's nothing but desert up there.
Uh-huh.
So we didn't stay there but about a week, and they said, well, fall in everybody and get your full gear. And they said, march us down to the airfield, and that's where I seen General MacArthur. I couldn't see him, but all standing there ready to board the train or board the planes, and he talked to us.
What did he say to you, Harrison?
Well, he said we was going to go up against the enemy, and he said we were better men than they were. But he didn't tell us that they were fighting for 10 years, the Chinese.
Uh-huh.
And they were good. And us, that we just been on the little maneuver down in Louisiana and all like that.
Uh-huh.
But he didn't tell us that. And he told us, they're not, they're little bitty people. I said, you're 2 times better than they were. They gave us a little pep talk. We boarded planes. And about that time, well, the Japanese was just about to take Port Moresby. The Australians was fighting not in the mountains, right in the bay. We had one battalion, 2,000 men, 14 transports. We took off. That's the 2nd battalion. That's when I was in. We started off. Well, when we got to Port Moresby, it was daylight, and we couldn't unload our planes. We had to go one plane load at a time. We was way, I don't know how far out, but we had about 30 or 40 fighters above us, and they'd escort this one plane in, and he would land, and troops would get out and run and get in a foxhole. And just about that time, well, the Japanese fighter planes come over the Orange Stanley Range, just 10 minutes from Fort Mooresville, Papua New Guinea.
Mm.
So
Wow.
when they would land, well, these guys come in and strafe and bomb and stuff, and by the time they took off, well, our men would be unloaded and this plane would be gone. Well, then another plane would come, and that's where we had to land.
How long were you there?
We wasn't there but about 2 days, then we went south. You could see that big old range, blue range, and that's where the Japanese was, and they were just pushing the Australians back.
Uh-huh.
So we went down the coast and went over the Orange Stanley Range to Papua New Guinea. That was our first action.
Your first action. Well, how did you feel?
Huh?
I said, how did you feel, Harrison?
I didn't. Well, we went, this battalion that I was telling you about,
Uh-huh.
2,000 men. Well, we went down the coast and went to some little small village. Then they wanted 4 men to go over the Orange Stanley Range and pick a trail over the Orange Stanley Range. So I was happened to be the one that was picked. So we had some native carriers to carry their packs and stuff, and that's all we done. That's where we went. It took us 2 weeks to go over the Orange Stanley Range. That's kind of sort of the low part of this big range.
Uh-huh.
But even that low part was really cold, rainy up high, cold. So we went on over. In 2 weeks we got down. We went right down to the airfield, Luna Airfield, right down to it. And we turned around, went back, and marked trail and went back. And we got back over the Orange Stanley Range. Then we brought our men back up, but it took longer. It took us 41 days to bring the whole 2,000. Well, we lost a lot of men up in the mountains. We got what they call dengue fever, mountain fever. We lost a lot of men. So we went on over to Boone. That was our first action. So I got wounded there. My first company.
When you first saw the Japanese, what was your reaction?
Well, I didn't see him till after we got right up on them, had them right there in about 2,000 yards and about 200 yards, right against the beach, and I don't know how many there was there, it's just 2,000 of it. But we held them there, kept them there, about 3 weeks, I guess. And we'd move just a little at a time, and some of them was trying to get out. We dug our foxholes. When we first got there, we dug our foxholes, and they was a few paces apart with 2 men in each trench, all the way around. Then after we got there a little while, well, they flew in an Australian, they call them mountain guns, I don't know, I think 25 pounders. Anyway, they landed way back there. And they'd fire over our heads and just fall from here to the road in front of us. And then when our artillery would lift, well, we'd move up a little, dig it down, and we'd just gradually start. But then we was right in the end of the airfield, right there in the corner, and a swamp there. They call it the Triangle. They had 100 machine guns right in that thing, all in bunkers and stuff. We couldn't take that. We never did take that. But the Australians come in and took it. There was a brigade of Australians that flew that, and they took it like crazy. Get up there, and they didn't crawl, they didn't do nothing. They just stood up there and just kind of shuffled when they just mow them down, and not some more. Just by sheer force, they just went away and just took the whole thing. So we finally took the position. Then we went back to Australia. We went back for a rest, and then after it went on up the coast, right with Japanese on. We went back to Australia. Then I said, I don't want no more jungle fighting. So they was needing some men for CBI, China Burma India. So I said, I'm going to volunteer. But that would have been worse than where we were.
Uh-huh.
So afterwards, when we first got back, I said, well, I don't want none of this. I said, we're going to get out of this thing. But I said, let's go down to Palms here for tail gunners. Well, we go down there if we went down there. They was wanting tail gunners. And we seen some bombers come in. When we seen them old tail gunners, just a lot of hooting. We changed our mind. Most of them was dead.
Did you go to the Philippines?
Well, after the first initial landing, we went in and support. By then, after I got to, after our first campaign in Buna, I volunteered for CBI. And they took a lot of our men to CBI.
Did you go to CBI?
No. Well, there was a colonel from somewhere. He come by and he said, no, he said, we need you. So they sent us down to Sydney, Australia, and detached service. Then we scouted for the Corps. After we got scouted, so we took training down in Sydney, Australia, and then there was an old, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was 11th Division or something, Australian that's been fighting in Benghazi, Africa. They was fighting and they came home for a rest, and they had an old troop ship in Sydney Harbor, and that's where we stayed, in that old troop ship, and we took our training from there, ship to shore, scouting. Nighttime, about 2 o'clock in the morning, we get on rubber boats, and they give us problems, you know. And this year, 11th Division, they was all bivouacked on a. So we go 2 o'clock in the morning.
Were you in on the rescue of any of the Americans in Manila, like Santo Tomas? Or?
No, I didn't quite get all the way up there. I got wounded on Leyte Island after the first. Well, I was on detached service, I told you, and but when we went back to Hollandia, we was in Hollandia, New Guinea. Our troops got that far. Well, we went back over there, so I had a chance to go to Mindanao with some Filipinos to go up there, and they took shotguns and medical supplies and your radios, pack radios. So we took them up there, and while there, well, I happened to. There were some guerrilla units from the main island, and they filtered down from island to island. There were guerrillas, and they was way high up in the mountain. Just Japanese just had the coastal area. So from New Guinea, from Hollandia, we got on a little old, must be a little destroyer or something, and we got on it, and well, first time they cooked us up in a headquarters area at barbed wire fence, and had two tents there, almost tents there. And all the ones that was going over there was Filipinos, and there were some Dutch people, but they were just the same color as me, called them Black Dutch.
Uh-huh.
And me, of course. And none of us didn't look like no white man. And that's what scared me. So we plain old shorts and plain old tennis shoes. No, we didn't wear no dog tags or nothing.
Uh-huh.
So every night, about 10 o'clock, well, our planes would go over and bomb the Philippines. Well, on the way over there, well, they was getting shot down. The Japanese had radar at that time, just about that time. So when our planes would go over the small island, well, they could tell how high they're going and how fast, and they just radio the message. All these fellas got to do is just set their fuses on their deals and how high to go. So when they hit there, well, we was losing a lot of our planes. So that's where we was going to go, the small island. That was Netherlands, East Indies, Philippines. And Netherlands, East Indies, Morta Island. And right next to a very big old island, Halmahera, and a little old dot out there. It's about 4 miles long and about 1.5 miles wide, 2 miles wide. but our planes would go over that island every day. So when they start knocking them down, well, that's when they called us and pinned us up and said, well, you can go to this island. And we had one old man from that island there and one Dutch man that used to have a plantation here. And every night they would come and they'd go over these maps with aerial maps. Every night the planes would go over to bomb. Well, they had one plane that took pictures, same height, same time of the day, every day, and you could tell them pictures. Just look at them every day. You can pretty soon you could see them little Japanese look in the past, or they'd be laying under the tree with their feet sticking out, you know. But they told us at a radar station, and we didn't see nothing. We couldn't find nothing. But day by day you could see this island. And finally you could make out trails and everything. So we knew the day that we was going to land, we knew it was going to be raining and everything. So finally one day I said, well, went down to the beach, took us down to Astoria and we took off. Then after we got close over there, well, they kicked us off on a little old submarine. Oh, it's tight. We got in there, and then after we got right down close to this little old island, and then we resurfaced about 2 o'clock in the morning, got on little rubber boats, and took off.
How many men were in this landing force?
0.
Just 3 of you.
That's all we were supposed to do, is look for your radar stations. We stayed there about 3 or 4 days, and we walked around all over. You couldn't see nothing. Couldn't see nothing. Never did see no Japs, nothing.
You didn't see anything?
No. Go down through the trails, see some natives. Then we had one native with us. So that first night we called this your sub, he come out way out in the bay there, and about 2 o'clock in the morning, well, I cranked up, told him we couldn't find the thing. But after we called and shut it off, well, he went on, went back like, boy, here come a patrol coming down from the, making a lot of noise. So they went right where we went. Well, they went right on by, so we got our company, went back, followed them, and we found one. So we marked it on that. So next night, well, we had something to report. After we reported that, well, there's another patrol come from another direction, so there must be one up first, so we just followed him back there. We found 5 of them.
How long were you on that island, on that patrol?
About 6 days.
And you found how many stations?
Yeah, 5.
You found 5.
So they told us to get on our highest, when they was going to come in. Took a battalion to come after it. 2,000 men. They landed them. And it took them half a day to come where we were, and they was nothing like that. When they come, they said, well, we'd be there in the morning. Get on the highest place. We sat up there, and the first thing looked like a light way out there, one little star shot. Well, how far we need? I said, come back in about half a mile. I hit way out in the water. We got high point. They brought it back and hit the end of the mile, and another way come lighting the wheel, and another star shell come. He was a little long, so we told him bring it back in about half a mile. So it was right on the island. I said only about a quarter of a mile short, and man, it's right on the beach. Pretty soon, boy, lightning all over him. Artillery. Just coming daylight, and then we seen these little gull wing, what they call them? They were black diamonds. They come in and they pick them targets, but after a while, well, they start coming over the hill, the Japanese. It was just days. And I sat just a short on barefoot and caught them sleep. And they'd come by to look at you and over the hill.
How many Japanese were on that island,
there
you
was
know?
about 100, they said, was manning each. stations. Well, then we sat there and they made a landing, boy. Pretty soon we seen like a little bit of water bugs out there. Oh, a whole bunch of them. They start coming in, and they had some rocket ships, was LCIs, and on the ramps they had the rockets, 12 in a crate, and they had just crates and crates, and just beach that thing, shoot them all one, look like a bunch of blackbirds come on and just chew up the jungle. And there was no Japs, it was already going. And the troop come in, and boy, and then some of them coconut trees is still maybe just shot, and pretty soon you hear them thing go down. When them coconut trees go down, boy, them old guys, and they shoot. I didn't know what they were shooting at, because then finally, after a while, after they made their landing, and the dozer come out and made scrape the place out there, and they brought a little papa cub coming running out there, and they put it all together, and he flew up and he came over. So, well, I said, look, dang, what is happening? Nothing. So, but that took 2,000 men come after us, and I was more scared of them. And when we come up there, and they came right on up there. Lieutenant's the only one, I guess, means the officers, only one knew why they was coming over there. He didn't tell her a minute they was coming out, just only 3 minutes.
Sounds like you did a lot of scouting work.
I did.
You know? What was your rank, Harrison?
Sergeant, staff sergeant.
Are you in the Army of Occupation?
No, I come out of Lake. I was stayed down in headquarters. When they made the landing, about a week after, well, we went on in to take care of the rations. Well, I was with headquarters. So and all I done was, when they got to fighting in the mountains, well, they needed supplies. Well, they'd say, well, we need a man to take some supplies up there. So they'd say, well, Hunter, you take about 50 or 60 Filipino natives and take a ration train up there. So that's where I got hit. That's where I came out.
How many times were you wounded in the service? 3 times. Once in Australia?
No, New Guinea.
Oh, New Guinea. I'm sorry, New Guinea. Where is it?
Twice New Guinea and Philippines.
It's a good thing you're still here, Harrison.
Yeah. Well, that sounds lucky. Real lucky.
What did you feel on VJ Day, Japanese surrendered?
I was here. I was back stateside in 45. That was in June, wasn't it? But I was here already. I really felt good.
How long all total were you in the service?
41, 45.
4 years.
Yeah.
4 years. What'd you do when you got out?
I didn't do nothing. I was paralyzed waist down for about a year and a half. Like I hit my back.
The back injury. How long did it take you to get where you could walk, Harrison?
About a year and a half. I was down in Temple, Texas for about a year. I couldn't even move my toes or anything.
Well, you can now.
Oh, yeah.
You dance,
Lucky,
too.
yeah. Lucky, real lucky.
What did you do after you got back on your feet? What did you do then?
I worked in Oklahoma City.
You went to work at Tinker at some time, didn't you?
No.
Okay, what'd you do in Oklahoma City then?
Well, I hung awnings for an awning company. And then from there, well, I came on home, and then I started working for an oil company here in Cushing. I worked 14 years for them.
Which oil company was that?
That is Rigg Oil Company.
Where was that located?
In Cushing.
In Cushing.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I'm not familiar with that oil company.
Yeah.
What'd you do with the company?
Well, I drove trucks, big transport
Back
trucks.
to trucks again.
I drove transport trucks. Then finally got to be a trucking boss, and finally I just had a crew of my own.
And you worked for them for 14 years?
14 years.
What'd you do after that?
Well, we were working in oil, really, and what we call cleaning these big old lines. I've been from here on up to International Falls, cleaning the oil. We just call it pigging. I don't know what you call it. But anyway, we'd a big old bullet-shaped deal with the cutters on the side, and they had a kind of probably a radium peel or something on the end of that, and we'd put it in these lines and take a plug out and put them in there. Put the plug back in and put the fluid to gas or oil or whatever they was pumping through the line, and that cleaned that line. And when they get hung up, well, that was our job. We had to go and find it and cut it out and put another one in from here to there, and that's no problem. Then finally I pulled around that oil and gas so much, well, I finally had a pretty bad heart attack. Then I didn't work for 2 years. I had VA hospital in Oklahoma City, and finally one day the contact officer asked me, said, "Mr. Morrison, how would you like to go back to work?" I said, "I sure would like to." So he said, "You can't go back where you went." He said, "How would you like to go tinker?" I said, "Well, that'd be all right too." So he said, so he filled me out an application, and I went home, and about a week later, I got a letter that said, "Come down for an interview." So I went down in there, and they didn't interview me or anything. They just sent me down to the aid station, looked me over, and said, "Well, how do you feel?" "All right." Would you be ready to come to work Monday?" I said, "Yeah." So I said, "Well, be to work Monday at 7:30. So I went in as limited duty, unlimited duty.
What year was that, Harrison?
61.
What sort of things did you do at Tinker?
I was a maintenance helper. And finally, after a while, I went to school, and I was just an inspector then for a little bit. So that's when I finished that.
And when did you retire out of there?
Gosh, about 3 years ago. I don't know really.
That's a long time. You've been a busy fella.
Yeah.
You really have.
Well, okay.
In addition to all these marvelous powwow activities that you've been traveling all over the country to, and you're well known all over the country. Mercy, yes. How long have you been doing that, and when did you start?
Since I was about 9 years old. I danced when I was 9 years old, but started singing when I was playing baseball back about 38, 39.
There's been a steady activity with you then, from the time you were a child. And you just kept on doing it for years and years. Where's the farthest away you've been to a powwow?
Powwow? I guess Chicago, Michigan, Las Vegas, and I've been way up in right against the Canadian border, Tree Reservation, Rocky Border, they call Rocky Border, Tree Reservation.
About how many powwows a year do you attend? Or do you have any idea?
I don't know. Every week. But out of state, about 7 or 8. Last week, 2 weeks ago, we was in Iowa.
Yeah, that when we talked to you before,
about 2 weeks
you had just
before
gotten
then,
back.
I went down to Muscalera, New Mexico. Then Albuquerque, New Mexico.
I'm curious about the songs, the music. How do you know all of the music that will go to, all the powwows, no matter where you go?
Well, I just learn the songs. I hear them one time and they catch them, and they say, "Well, I want this song." Well, I'll just sing it.
You have a marvelous memory in that case.
On the songs.
We still got.
In November, I've got to go to Salt Lake City for some people up there. And I was supposed to went to a Northern Navajo Fair in October, the first weekend in October, but it was canceled out. So.
In other words, you're saying to me that you know tribal songs from all the areas of the United States for all these powwows. Is there anybody in your family, Harrison, that's following you in your footsteps
No.
as a singer?
No.
Oh, that's too bad.
I got brother Shannon. He goes all over. But every week I go someplace.
Have you recorded any of these songs?
Quite a few.
Who's recorded? Have you put it on tape, or has somebody else put it on tape? That's marvelous. Well, I know you're awfully, awfully busy with that, and my word, everybody knows Harrison Hunter.
Yeah.
You know.
I've been Kansas, Nebraska. I've been for a head singer for every tribe here in Oklahoma. There's 28 different tribes. I've been a head singer for them one time or other, and I know all their songs.
That's a remarkable feat. You know that.
Okay.
That's Morris Lookout. So that question will be on the tape.
Yeah.
What, Harrison, in your opinion, is the greatest honor that in the powwow world that you've ever received?
Oh, I'm given a horse
Well, where did that
Yes.
happen?
at Colony.
At Colony,
Mhm.
Oklahoma. Under what was the situation? What was
Oh,
the,
it was on a Labor Day celebration, and a brother I made relationship. Archie Black Owl, you know Archie Black Owl. He's my brother, and he gave me a horse at that time to make relationship. And so he always give me. There's one of his pictures
Yeah.
down there, and then he's got lots.
Oh, yeah.
Got lots of.
how is he related to John?
He,
To John Black Owl?
John Black Owl's his uncle. He's fantastic.
We heard that Joe had interviewed Mr. Black Owl before he passed away.
Yeah.
Thank goodness we got to talk to him.
He's the chief. Archie, he's the chief.
Archie's the chief now.
I want to ask something about the organization of the Sauk and Fox. The plans, or are there plans?
Yeah, we have plans, but I don't know how many plans we've got. I couldn't name them. But we have you might say, different plans, different.
What clan are you a member of?
I'm Wolf Clan.
Does each clan has a chief?
Yes, you'd be surprised who my clan chief is.
Really?
John Goki.
Really?
Yeah, he's my clan
Oh, General Goki.
chief. Yeah,
Hey.
yeah, he's my clan chief.
How's the clan organized?
I don't know. It's handed down from father.
Oh, and I was talking to Morris Lookout the other day. He said a lot of the old rites of the Osages have been forgotten. Are the Sauk and Fox the same way?
No, we still carry on. In the springtime, we have a little feast to give Indian names, and a spring feast, summer, fall, and winter.
Are these sacred ceremonies?
Oh yes,
as such?
nobody don't want to do it. It's not open to the public, just family. And we have what do we call our seasons? Spring, summer, fall, winter. That's 4 seasons. And that's one day. Our old people say that's one day. Springtime's in the morning, summertime's noon, fall of the year, evening, and winter's night. So they say that's one day. So, and when they're talking to a bunch of people, they usually say, well, we're not going to be here but just a few days, and then they begin to tell what we should do and try to teach our young people, He would anthropologist out of Stillwater, and that was James Howard, but he
Yeah,
passed
Dr.
away.
Howard.
Yeah, Dr. Howard. Still, he knew all of that. So the RO people, they told him. But us, we are not committed to it.
I've asked about everything I can think of.
The Depression in the
Yeah.
30s.
I remember.
How did that affect you and your family?
Well, we used to have lots of cows. My grandpa had lots of cows. And we had horses and we had pigs. Well, the cows, the government came along and asked him how many he wanted to keep. And he just went out there and dug a big hole and killed most of the cows. And left us, I think, 2 milk cows. And same way with pigs. They killed all the pigs and left us a sow and a boar, and that's all. But the chickens we got to keep. And everything was just, it was hard. Money wasn't worth nothing.
You had eggs and milk.
Yeah, we had them. But to get money to go, we didn't have no money to even buy no groceries. My grandfather had lots of corn. He raised corn, so he'd take a wagon load of corn, take them to the mill up there, and trade it off for make cornmeal, and that's all we had to all summer long is cornmeal. And you can go to the grocery store and you can get 15 cents worth of sugar, and that was a whole bunch. So when they got accumulated little money, they'd go over there and just bring back a whole wagon load of groceries, and that would last us a long time because we had our own pigs and chickens and done a lot of squirrel hunting. Summer, rabbits during the winter. Yeah. During Hoover time, boy, we got plenty of rabbits. Got burned out on them.
Can't eat rabbits anymore,
No.
Harrison. I'm tired of rabbits.
But it was really, and it was during that time too. They had a cold weather. In 1933, we had snow that deep, and it stayed way up in summer, and it was really hard. They killed all of our rabbits, all the quails and everything. So it made it, just for a wild game. Well, it made it hard for. There was no money.
There is something I didn't ask you.
What?
When did you meet Doris?
Back in 1955.
1955? Okay, and when did you marry her? 1955. How long did you know her before you married her?
When I went to the Army, she was 11 years old.
Oh, you hear that? Well, how many children do you all have?
We got 9 altogether. She's got 4, 5.
How many boys, how many girls?
Oh, I got 5 boys. Oh, 4 boys, 5 girls.
4 boys and 5 girls. That's a big family here. So, of course, you have a big Indian family anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Just all over everywhere. Where did you meet Doris?
At Enid.
At Enid.
Mm-hmm.
What were you doing?
Well, I used to see her around powwow, but I was kind of eyeing her.
Oh, I see. You had this plan in your mind a long time.
Yeah.
Well, and what were you doing in Enid when you finally made the...
Working for an oil company there.
Was she working, or did you...
Yeah, she was.
She was working for the same company?
No, she was... I don't know what she was doing. I didn't want to hear that time.
Okay, well, I won't ask you anymore.
I have a question. I was talking to Sylvester Tinker. You know him?
Yeah.
He was involved with the CCC Indian Department.
Yeah.
Were you part of that?
No, I just work. I'm just a worker.
Do you know of anyone that still practices the native medicines?
Not that I know of, unless it's down south around Shawnee. I don't know. Most of our old people, they all passed on. They took all of their medicines with them. So.
Would there be any elders that would talk to us about the ceremonies, or is it pretty much?
Gosh, I don't know. Do you know Louis Kapahi?
No, but I've heard of Lewis, but I don't know. Where does he live?
You know where the old Ona Benedict,
Okay.
across the turnpike.
Uh-huh.
There used to be a rodeo ground there, right?
Yeah.
He lives right back down in the little woods there.
Uh-huh.
Good man.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, we'll look him up. We'll see
Yeah,
if we can
his name
find
Louis
him.
Kapahi.
Okay.
I think he could tell you.
Okay.
He might have to have an interpreter. Don't talk to English.
Is he Sauk and Fox?
Yeah, he's second.
Okay.
Are you a speaker?
Huh?
Are you a speaker?
No. No, I can speak my language. Yeah, but I'm not a orator, if you want to call it that. No, I don't speak to a big bunch of people.
Just
But I
a
can.
little bunch of people.
No, I can talk.
But you speak the language.
Yeah, I just speak the language.
What do you call the language?
Language?
Yeah. I mean, is it Sauk and Fox language?
Sauk and Fox
Sauk
language.
and Fox.
Well, we've got a whole bunch of tribes that can understand each other. Thousands of years ago, there might have been just one tribe, but they branched off sometime or other. That was Sauk and Fox, Kickapoo, Potawatomi, Shawnee, Menominee, Chippewa, and Cree. 7 tribes. And the Cree, they're mostly up in all across Canada. That's the biggest tribe there is.
You all speak the same basic language?
They speak what we call the old language, where they say 3 words means the whole sentence. Us, we've got to talk for half an hour to say them 3 words. They talk the old language, you know. You might say, it's like the English language, you know. We all say and, buts, and ifs, and all like that in your language. Well, that's where we talk, you know. But them up there, they just say the word, which means the whole, you know.
Just cut out the small stuff.
Yeah, they cut out all that small stuff. And I got to talk for half an hour to say them 3 words. But that's, that Cree is one of the old languages.
What's your favorite childhood memory?
Oh gosh, I don't know. You know, one time I used to stay with I call her my grandma, my grandmother's sister. She had a strand on its side. Well, that's where I used to go stay up there in summertime. She had great big old field. Well, she had horses, really, riding horses. And I had one of my cousins lived over the hill. Morses. Samuel Morse, Sam Morse, and all them, they lived over the hill. And my grandmother lived on this side across the highway. Well, every morning I'd saddle up her old horse. Somebody gave her a horse when they adopted her for another family. A family lost their mother, and so they adopted her in her place. So, and that's one of our ways. You know, so they gave her a horse. They put her on the horse. When they adopted her, put her on the horse with a saddle, and gave her a new horse and a saddle, and gave her a team of horses and a wagon full of groceries and dry goods and everything that you can think of, blankets and shawls, and everything in that one wagon. So that's what they gave her. So this riding horse, it was a good riding horse. Every morning I caught it, but he made me cry every morning. And it was an old roan horse, and I put the saddle on, and I'd tie his head up. And when I'd get ready to get on, I'd put my foot in the stirrup and want to jump up. Well, he'd turn around and bite me right there. Every morning, Lord. And every horse made me cry. So anyway, I'd go and play with my cousin. And down about a quarter of a mile from this corner, and we'd go down and get mail every day, and there was some colored people, sharecroppers lived up there. And they had a boys about our size, and then we like that. Go fight them little boys, you know. But I guess they had a big sister that went visiting, you know, and we never did know them. So, about time for school to start was not about ready to go home. Well, I want to go fight them little niggers, you know. For the last time, so we went and rode our horses over there. And my horse, I'd have to tie it up, because if I don't, man, he'll bite me. And then when we go somewhere, they'd have to hold that horse while I get on. So we tied our horses up on this side in the woods, you know, from the mailbox. So we lay and waiting. And I guess these boys told her sister, and she was a very big old girl, about big as you. So told them we was fighting, so I guess she come around down the woods, and yeah, we were boys ready. When they come up her, boy, we were out there and start fighting, boy. And then she come out of the woods with a big old switch about that big and about that long, man. She start cleaning up on her. and all my cousins, their horses, all you need to do is jump on and go on. But this old horse was tied up one mine, man. And she was flailing me, boy. And that's the only thing I can still remember, boy. And I was just crying, and man, she was just giving me heck, boy. And I could. That's why I got my horse loose. So I just left my horse and I just run down through the woods. So that's when I can remember most. Yeah.
Oh, that's
So
marvelous,
that was fun. I mean, we thought it was fun.
Oh, sure.
But she.
Oh, gee. Oh.
What was your grandfather like?
Always really good old man. Really good.
Do the Sauk and Foxes have naming ceremonies
Every spring.
once a year?
Once a year. All your little children, they come in.
How do they choose the names?
Oh, I don't know. Well, if you're in a wolf clan, there's something that the wolf does or something, whatever he does. Now my name means too old to hunt anymore. It's, you might say, just a thief. Okay, come on, Tom. But what that means is an old wolf got too old to hunt with a pack anymore, so he had to go around the tent area and steal meat off the line. So
and what's your name again?
Okay, come on, Todd.
That's a very interesting name, Harris.
But that's what that means. Okay, come on, Todd. And
When-
he said too old to. It's just you might
When
say.
did you receive that name?
Oh, when I was small.
When you were little?
Yeah, when I was little.
Why did they give you that name?
I don't know. Maybe one of my grandpas or some of my kinfolks was named that. A lot
And they
of times,
passed it down?
Yeah, they passed it down. Usually, if some of your old people had a name, well, after about 10 years after they pass away, then you can use their name.
How old is a child before they go through the naming ceremony?
Well, about a year.
About a year
About a
old.
year.
And you?
I'm thought out. I could probably sit here and just think of all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
This one here is my grandma.
What's his
That
name?
one there with the shirt on?
That's the one, Henry Hooper. And this is on
Henry.
our old home place down there, Uchee Creek. But now, like where this tree is, a great big old steel bridge here. And where our old home place now, the house is, that's right here where the house is now.
Well, son of a
Yeah.
gun. Then I'm glad I got you the
Yeah.
picture.
Well, they look like they're hefty.
Yeah, there are.
Bill Welge walked in and
Just about that time, that was back about 1902 or 3. That time this one was made. And that was about 2 years after big smallpox epidemic. And in 1900 they had a smallpox epidemic. And they had a village at the Y up here. 99 and 33. back kind of north. They had a big spring and they had a big village here, this kind of a village.
Uh-huh.
And that's where they burnt the whole village down and scattered it, told people to scatter. So my grandpa and all his family, they went towards Creek country around Bristow and Seminole, Bristow and Kellerville and Sapulpa, Milfay. That's where they stayed down through that hunting. That's what all they lived. For 2 years they lived out in wagons and tents and stuff. And the Uchis, my grandpa, they stayed around so long that they got so they could talk the language, Uchi language.
To the Uchis.
Then the Shawnees was mixed up in around there. So there's lots of Shawnees married to the Uchis.
Oh, now that's interesting.
That's
interesting.
It says Sauk and Fox bark house.
Yeah.
What kind of bark did they use?
That's elm.
Elm.
Yeah, it's slippery elm. In the springtime when it starts, the sap comes up, they just cut the tree.
Okay, what is the bark house used for?
That's their ceremonial house. And they sleep in there too. They got scaffolding, it's like a scaffold there on each side, and they got the logs across there where they make their farm on the inside. And you'd be surprised, them things don't leak. And they're not cold on the inside.
Well, I suspect they knew what they were doing.
And you know, in them scaffolds, they sit about that high, and they sleep on them. And underneath, they put their wood down underneath.
Uh-huh.
And in the summertime, like this time of the year, there'd be big toads under there. And my grandma, when I was small, we had one of them. And she had all of her woods, and then she'd put pumpkins or throw pumpkins on there, watermelons and stuff like that. And there'd be toads under there. And I asked, and she said, "You leave them alone now." They got an Indian, they call them mama cat. Leave her alone, that's your grandma, said. I said, "Ain't my grandma." She said, "That's your grandma." I said, because she said it takes care of her. She said, all these big spiders, says she'll kill them. So that's what they don't bother them. That's what they eat, spiders and scorpions and that stuff. Toads.
The big toads.
Yeah. So
Remember that.
They told us don't bother. So my little grandchildren, and they all want to play with her. I told them, no, don't bother. That's your grandma. I told them. That ain't my grandma, they said. So I just what my grandma said. That's, during that time they had them in there. Now we got all these little black backs and these little black litters and all that. But that's, they left them.
Well, I guess that's it.
Right at the moment, I can't think of another thing.
I don't know anything else.
What is the traditional, for lack of a better word, traditional dress of the Sauk and Fox?
Well, years ago, in 1800s, they used buckskin, but since when it came this way, then you got cloth, calico and stuff like that. So that's in the 1900s.
Yeah.
But in the 1800s, they used buckskin.
Harrison, who in the Sauk and Fox tribe knows more of the tribal history than anybody else?
That'd be that man I'm telling you about.
Okay. Okay. The gentleman that he just mentioned.
Who would be a good translator?
He'd probably tell you.
Would he?
Yeah, I think he would.
Okay. But we might need somebody to.
You was asking me about Marcellus Williams.
Yeah,
He was way out west.
Way out west. You mean like California?
Yeah, Albuquerque, I believe,
Oh.
or maybe Taos, I don't know.
Oh.
And Archie, he's gonna buy my home. You know, Taos is a artist. You might call it a capstone. You know, you go down through Taos, and every second door is an artist gallery.
Yeah.
And so that's where he's gonna establish his home.
Oh, well, he's picked a good place. You know, he's picked a nice place for it.
And I've got really, I make a lot of relations when I go to different tribes. I got all kind of relations, different tribes, all over. Navajo, Hopi, Zuni.
You know, this probably isn't, this is probably a very unfair question, but who puts on the most exciting powwow that you've been to or that you go to, you know?
Well, you can go to all the powwows there, but what they call Northern style. They have one way. And then down here we've got our way, where we do. And then in the west, they copy north and the south in the west. So I think ours is the most, we've got a different kind of a dances.
I see.
Up north, all they do is war dance.
Oh, I see. Oh, and I didn't know that.
They don't round dance, they don't four dance, they don't do nothing else but just war dance.
And that limit their content?
Yeah, and then the west of you got the Gourd dance and the Blackfeet and your sun dance. So
Question. The Gourd dance, Harrison. What's the history of the Gourd dance?
Well, that's part of your Sundance ceremony. It's what they call a deer claw clan. You see me with my cane? That's part of one clan of your Sundance. And that's originated from Cheyenne and Arapaho.
That's the origination of the...
Yes, it's part of their one clan. Now the Kiowas claimed that. Reason for that was when they brought them to Oklahoma. Well, the Kiowas and the Cheyennes, they got into a fight, so they captured some Cheyenne boys. So they had them staked out in a draw somewhere down in there. Just have them staked out. They'd go over and feed them stuff like that. But every night these Cheyenne boys would sing these
songs.
They're what they call war journey songs. That's what they're
war journey
songs. So they singing songs, Gourd dance, and these Kiowas kind of listened to them. They liked them, so they said, "Say, will you teach us?" "No, okay, that's ours. But if you let us go, we'll tell our people that you can come visit us when we have our Sundance." So that's where they turned their captives loose. So they went on home and told their people that they got these people from the south would come up here and visit us when we have our Sundance. So I said, all right. So these boys rode down and told them, well, you all come. So that's where the Kiowas got the war.
That's interesting, after they'd been captives.
Yeah.
They really had that kind of friendly feeling toward those folks?
Well, and some tried. They didn't. It was just just like anybody else. You have so many, you can trade for something else.
I see. Okay. Well, I was curious about that because I've heard several things about the origin of the Gourd dance, and I knew you'd know. Yeah. Good. Okay. Well, I don't think right now. I don't think of anything else. I know there's books and books and books of questions I'd like to ask you, Harrison, and I'll have to come back and ask you again.
Is the Sauk and Fox matrilineal or patrilineal?
What does that mean?
That means, are the clans lined up with the woman's side of the family or the man's side of the family? With the woman, men? Okay, it's patrilineal then. Okay. Don't use big words. Okay, anything else? I'm going to have to come back because I got a lot of questions I know right here. And
the other day, Morris Lookout was talking about the Great Mystery as opposed to the Great Spirit. Is this part of the Sauk and Fox tradition also?
It is. That won't go on tape.
Right.
That's what I was thinking. Okay. I won't ask you more.
Okay. Sure. We don't want to stop, please.
You do it.
And Harrison, I want to thank you very much for this interview, and we will come back and talk with you some more. It's been very exciting, and I want to thank you a lot. Thank you. Harrison, I thought of something else I want to ask you. How long have you been doing handwork, the beadwork craft, and the leather work and stuff like that?
Oh, gosh, since 19, I guess 45, I guess, since I got back home, I started beadwork and leather work. I make drums. I make only drum maker that's got drums in it all over.
Oh, now that's something I didn't know. I'm glad you said that. Who taught you
My grandpa.
to make the drums? What about the beadwork? Did he teach you to do the beadwork
No,
too?
my grandmother.
She did the beadwork. That's very interesting.
All of my children, they all bead.
Do you do quill work?
My daughter does. She
Is quill work done only by women?
does. Well, my son-in-law does, Bill Rice. He's
Yes,
good. Yeah,
yes.
He's good. He's good at it.
He's good at a lot of other things too.
I'll show you his work. It's beautiful.
Well, there's something else I want to ask you too. I'm going to ask you in a minute.
That's a peyote stick.
Yes, he does that.
Yeah.
Look at that.
And there's your quill work.
Yeah.
Look at that, Joe.
Now, who did the quill work?
Bill did. Did you say Bill?
My son-in-law.
Bill is he's a young Indian attorney in Norman. He's a good lawyer too, Joe.
We got a case of these oil company. I mean Texas.
Uh-huh. Well, if Bill's your lawyer, you're going to win it.
Over 9 million.
Oh, tell you what, Harrison, it sounds
We
wonderful.
were on the reservation. We got about 47 gas wells, maybe oil wells, about 23 gas wells. And this oil company had our lease since 1937. And during that time, they subleased that to a lot of different other companies. And during that time, our tribal council didn't know a thing about it. All they knew that they got a check from it.
They didn't do right by you.
Yeah.
They were just kind of ripping
So
you off.
now,
They're just playing fast and loose all over. Boy, I hope you all win this.
I
Good. I want to ask you a question. And I heard this, and I swear I can't remember where I heard it, but is it true? I always heard that the Indian men make and play the flute, and that women do not touch that, and women do not play flute. That's true. What's the reasoning behind that? You know?
I sure don't know. I don't think we have anybody that's leaving. We used to have
In the Sac.
up north of here.
The only one I know is Woodrow Haney. He's
Yeah, well, you got
You got Woodgie. George.
Woodgie,
George Washington.
Washington, and Tommy Ware, got over where he plays.
Well, doesn't and Doc Tate.
Yeah, Doc, his connection.
But I was just curious about that because I'd heard that, and I just wondered if there was some particular reason or if it was really just tradition that the man or the warrior is the one that plays the flute, makes the flute, plays the flute. I was curious. This is beautiful.
These are head man stick. If you're a head singer, if you don't know a song, and if you're a Pawnee, you may be a Kiowa song. A family is asking for a Kiowa song to be sung, and if I don't know it, I will give a stick to that Kiowa man, and he will sing a song for me. That's what we do.
Okay.
For head singer stick.
What did you make that, or was
This
that
one
given
here I
to
made.
you?
Yeah, no, this one I made.
Were you given one when you became head singer? Who gave
How do
it
you?
to you? I'm sorry.
One of my grandpas gave me a stick. set me down around a drum and said, this is your position. This is what you're going to do. Through,
I'm sorry.
How do you become head singer?
huh?
How do you become head singer?
Well, it's, I started when I was pretty young. I learned to start learning songs from my grandpa. We've got what we call a red and blue. It's a ceremonial drum. And it's a clan, what it is. And all men belongs to it. It's kind of sort of, you might say, like a church or something. It's a religion, you might say. And this red and blue drum, like this thing here, this drum sits on a table and it's got a lot of beautiful. They feed that drum every day.
They feed the drum.
They cook it. There's a fire in there that hasn't been, it stays. There's a man that keeps fire for that drum. We call that drum grandpa.
Who was keeper of the drum? Who was keeper of the drum?
Usually some man is appointed, and he has to keep a fire in there year round.
And the fire keeps going. He keeps it going all the time.
Going, and at breakfast time he cooks. There's a little hole down there in the middle of the fireplace, and when he cooks, he puts a lid in that hole. And at supper time, well, he cooks again, and he goes put food in that. All the food's gone, so he puts it back in. I don't know where the food goes.
That was for the drum.
It's sick. And a lot of people, somebody gets sick, and they take this drum and use it. One that some of our doctors that knows these different herbs, they request them to be songs to be singing while he is on this.
Did the Sauk and Fox traditionally use more than one kind of drum, or it was?
Oh yeah.
What is a water drum?
Water drum. That's a Native American church. It's a grass kettle, and it's got a rawhide.
Water in it? Okay. Just curious. You know, I've seen some pictures of the old water drums.
And they are musculaire patches when they have the non-metal valve stands. You see that? What they call fire dance. They use a water drum.
Is there a difference in the tone, the voice of the drum? That's interesting. How many different kinds of drums did the Sauk and Fox use? Can you tell me that, or shouldn't ask that question?
It's red and blue. Then this like the drums that I make, they're just for social.
The pictures that I have seen of the early Potawatomi tribe, they show a big drum with, well, for want of a better word, horns on the four corners, like this. Oh, I see. Okay.
Set on each side of the drum.
And the drum.
Well, that's what these are now. Right now, that was one of them. And in them days, on this red and blue, they got 4 of these here. That stands for the seasons.
Yeah.
There's one on each side. It belongs to a clan, and they use that during the springtime. You're a head singer or whoever sings. Then over here, there's another one. That's for the summer clan, and they use that. So that's how come we have 4 of these.
I see.
That's the reason for these.
Okay. Well, that explains a lot to me. See how ignorant I am. What did they use now? This beautiful thing is quill work. What they use for their beads?
That's before beadwork.
They used the quill work before beads.
Before beadwork.
Let me ask you something. Did the Sauk and Foxes ever have cause to use the strings of wampum in the early days? Did they ever do that?
Yeah. Well, you got the Seneca, Cayuga, and the Daga, and those people they use wampum and they tell stories on the bells with them.
Well, now that's what I heard. That's what I
but
read.
Sauk and Fox, we used only just for money. That's all we used it for.
I see. Okay. Well, that
But them
clarifies
people,
it,
they
too.
got it on their belts, and they've got their history on their belts. And bunches.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
See, I told you I'd think of a whole bunch of other things to ask.
Thank you.
Shirley, I said, well, I'd like to give Drum a shawl. And that's mostly for your help, for those people that's helping you see. You sell the blanket or whatever, wrap it up, and divide the money.
What design is this? Is this Sauk and Fox? It is, isn't it? What is this? What does it mean?
I don't know what it means. It has, I imagine years ago, used to have a meaning. In a different family, you could tell what family they come from. They had their own design. But this is here, this is my daughter's student skirt, and I went and stole it.
Beautiful
Nice
design.
word.
Sure, it's beautiful.
That's old.
Right. Are there particular colors that the Sauk and Fox prefer over others, that they use more than anything else, or just
Kind of purple.
kind of royal purple and looks like maroon and blues, maroon?
Traditional color.
Why is, I mean, is there a particular meaning to that color,
I
or
don't
just
know.
they just like it, or is it something they had a lot of? Beautiful. Well, Harrison, you do beautiful work. What is this on you?
That's just tape. That's
Hey,
a
look at that.
white man tape. I had
What?
to strip that.
That's something? Look at that. Clever, I swear. Who would have thought it? Now, somebody's going to find this 500 years from now, and dig this up, and they're just going to go bananas over this. They had this, they made this out of, how they did it. Yeah. Oh, that's something. That's a beautiful piece of work. Okay. Clever, these folks.
Are we going to get the wind panel again this year?
I have no idea. As soon as I know something, I'll sure tell you. I think we will, because from what Kenneth says to me, that if they go back out to the tribal office, back to the tribe, they're not going to have anybody to be able to do it. Things out there just went. So, we're going to be the only ones that are going to hunt. There's one good thing about it, we don't have to worry about money.
I know it. You don't have plenty of that.
So, I'm just waiting to see what. Did you make this harness on this?
Yeah.
Did you make all this?
Yeah, I made it.
Harrison, did you ever see anybody use a traveler when you were a little kid?
What were the folds made of? What kind of wood?
Usually it was made out of ash.
Ash.
This is
And
Neville's.
the year before we had horses, we had dogs with us. We used dogs. So dogs have been with us ever since the man got.
Do the Sauk and Foxes have stories in there? About dogs?
With this, Lewis, be able to tell
Yeah.
us stories. We've got to go talk to him.
Yes, we're going to have to definitely do that.
Okay.
Head warrior of the Sauk and Fox.
What does that mean? Head warrior.
Well, I don't know. When they had some of the ceremonies, they would call on you to speak.
Who did that, Harrison? Who made you the head warrior?
Well, I went overseas
Uh-huh.
and I laid down live.
I see.
14 of them.
And that,
When I came
uh-huh.
back, well, that day I made good head.
do you were the head warrior. Do the Sauk and Foxes have a chief, or do they have a chairman, or what?
We don't. Oh, we call our chairman of the tribal council a chief.
I
It's
see.
just a title.
I see.
But the hereditary chief, we don't. I think. You know Henry Foster?
Henry
He would be
Foster.
Henry Foster. He'd be one.
I see.
His grandpa was a chief.
You all had village chiefs then, back in the old days,
Oh yeah.
where they would come down to, and clan chiefs. Were the villages formed around the clans? In other words, it was
Yeah.
so that, okay, so your clan chiefs quite often were the village chiefs. I mean, am I right? Is that right? Okay. Just out of curiosity there. So that there's still family lines that can be traced back to those clan chiefs, those village chiefs back in the old days before they were moved down here, huh? Interesting.
My aunt got a tribal road from the 1800s.
For goodness sake, was that before or after they were moved?
Before
What? Oh, what's your aunt's name?
Oma Patrick.
Oma Patrick. Oh, maybe we'll have to talk to Oma.